Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
My goodness, IU fans. Listen, I thought about it on the walk over here. So I go to that first game of the first session today at Cambridge Fieldhouse for the Big Ten tournament. And a friend of the show, Lindsay Monroe of Channel 13, was down there. And we were kind of hanging out and talking. And I thought, all right, so am I going to unleash the beast here and let IU fans get everything off their chest? I think the problem is nobody at this point in time really gives too much of a crap about it. Because that was the other aspect that I talked about. Remember the whole having your cake and eating it too? Having a tournament team? And then also in search of a new head coach? You've got a schlep rock attitude going on right now with IU folks because you're sick and tired of what you see, and you're cool with moving on. You want to see this team in the tournament. I think most of you do. Maybe after today you don't. But let's just say, for example, the sake of the argument, you do. So you want to see this team in the tournament, but you're certainly much more happy that Mike Woodson is out and a new coach is going to be in. You just don't know where this new coaching situation is going to go because all you hear are those that you think would be at the top of the list that decide they feel like doing something else or they're going to stay where they are. They don't have any interest. So, maybe it is not having your cake and eating it too here. Maybe I was wrong about that. I guess I was wrong about this team solidifying itself last week into this tournament because everybody I talked to so far thinks that they are majorly on the bubble and as of right now could be out. One of those being Mike DeCourcy on the show yesterday. You have to hurry up and wait and see. But if today was any indicator, I can understand a little bit. Like, if it were me, I don't care what the hell goes on. I would want to see the team that I follow go to the tournament. I don't care. And like last year, remember my whole position with Indiana State, and I know great NIT, Hinkle Fieldhouse. I had an absolute stinking blast up until they gagged up the championship. A blast. But I still would have rather them been in the tournament even if they had their doors blown off once they got to this tournament, the NCAA tournament. Would have rather seen that. Just me. I don't think you always want in there under those circumstances. So I'm assuming that most of you do. Some people were just kind of walking out of Cambridge Fieldhouse going, what in the hell? And more times than not, that is the case. And this team, simply could not shoot straight. 36% from the field, which included a robust 4 of 16 from 3. 25%. And if you were there, or hell, if you're at home watching, or if you were listening to Don across the hall, 93 WIBC, maybe that was the case. This team at the free throw line, 5 of 10. Leo missed a couple, especially when they were down 4, a couple of front ends of 1-and-1s. This team missed so much right at the rim. Right at the rim, whether it was Ballo or Renew. I mean, hell, Renew had 19 points. He should have had 30. Right at the rim. It was some incredible stuff. This is a team that just, and guys that you brought in, again, are just what they are, non-shooters. Yes, you brought them in thinking they are shooters. But it was awful to watch, and it is a for blank brand of basketball. That part stinks. But again, I'm not going to be with those that say, you know what, my hands are up, just go ahead and move on. I don't care if they do make it in. I want to see somebody around here make it in outside of Purdue. How about that? Butler got bounced earlier today. Again, that was not unexpected. So somebody make it in, and hell, I'd want to see my team in the tournament. 72-59 was the final at Gainbridge Fieldhouse today. Where is this stat here? And then some quotes. The quotes are just absolutely fantastic. I will say this. I don't know what else you're going to say, but could it be anything else other than that? The 15th first game of the Big Ten tournament. My friend Doug sent me this, where IU loses. Out of the 27, 15 times IU has been bounced in that first game. And that is added today. I mentioned some of the quotes after the game. Mike Woodson, IU coach, quote, "I don't think there's a team in the country we can't beat if we prepare and compete for 40 minutes. I don't think today's game was an indication of how we've been playing the last 2.5 weeks. Unfortunately, today's game was an indication of how, for the most part of this season, other than what you just mentioned, this team has played. Today was an indicator about how misdirected this season was on a variety of levels. Really, today I thought was an incredible indicator of just this team and who they are. You have a couple of guys that do play hard, that care, and can't shoot a lick. Cannot shoot a lick. And then you have other guys that may not care as much, that come in as hired guns, and the problem is they can't shoot a lick either. So the biggest problem is you don't have a damn soul on that team that can shoot a lick. This is the state of Indiana. I mean, my God, you got to be able to find somebody that can at least shoot a lick. Not 1 ounce. So I would argue that this afternoon, what I'd witnessed there live was more of an indicator of exactly how this season has gone than anything else. I thought, for example, this was quite a bit worse than the way IU played Oregon a couple of weeks ago in Eugene. Am I wrong about that? Anybody else gather? I thought this was quite a bit worse. Because you were supposed to be, hopefully, as their head coach alluded to, in a good spot, in a good space, playing better, feeling better about yourself, being more confident into the season. But you just had all of the same old issues. And there's to hoping whomever it is, whatever head coach that comes in, that can get out of it what ultimately you need to get out of it, because this ain't it. Man, really hasn't been it for a while. So again, you got to talk up your team. Yeah, you try. What do you have to lose? I give you a great example. And I know that that's not the thought process, and I know that I'm not a coach, nor have I ever coached anything, and people are going to say that. This is just my opinion. If I were Mike Woodson, I wouldn't have given a fat crap about following the protocol that has led me down this path to be the coach where I am right now. I'll give you a great example out of that. When things were going well, and Mbako, really your lone shooting threat that was on the floor, when he got his second foul and you go to the mandatory benching, what the hell? You might as well. What do you got to lose here? You're going to go down the same hall and exit anyway at some point. What do you got to lose? Just let him stay out, because the problem is you don't know when that's going to go away. Like, there were some moments out there where you go, whoa, this guy's knocking down shots and he has this confidence. But you don't know when all of a sudden that's going to disappear, whether it's the Oregon adjustments that are being made defensively or just the fact that you're no longer in a confident, good-feeling zone, which clearly most of these guys have to be in a very comfortable level to perform. There's not much grinding going on with this group. Not much grinding through it and then coming out being able to grind out wins. There's a lot of, well, hell, the hands are up. And again, offense affects defense. I mean, it always does. You can say it doesn't. Like Leal, I understand why Leal is out there all, because Leal does play defense. He can't shoot. He cannot shoot. Those front ends were pretty large. But all in all, I think that was very representative of most of what you have witnessed this season. And IU fans, again, I would still want to see my team. If I were you guys, I'd want to see my team go to the tournament. Yeah, I don't care if it's in Dayton. I wouldn't care where it is, as long as you go. You can be like me. IU fans could be like me. I mean, you could cross your fingers and hope for one game in a season they win to go to the tournament, and then I've got to fall in love with the stinking NIT. Great. And then now, so yeah, I'd want my team to be in. And I know that it may be, to you, excruciating to have to sit through and witness yet another game with this group. But, again, much like I said with Mike Woodson, with rotations and rules that you have and how you're coaching games at that moment, what the hell, you might as well. What do you got to lose here? You're done. Everything's done. Seems like you could a little bit more freewheelingly try to handle it in that fashion. But, yeah, who am I? I've not coached a minute. We can discuss that at 239-1070 if you'd so desire. Yeah, Butler just kind of went out, as I think everybody expected Butler to go out to St. John's a little bit earlier today. If you want to go on that direction, we certainly can. Big Ten Game 2 going on at Gainbridge Fieldhouse with Wisconsin up to 25-23 over Northwestern. Boilermakers coming up later on tonight. Bobby Riddell is going to join us from the radio network at the bottom of the hour, the former Boilermaker, about what they need to do. If you watched that last night and you watched the overtime game, USC Athletic, Matt and I talked about that yesterday. We'll see how things transpire with the Boilers to see if they got on the other side and can find some consistency too. That is coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Colts are introducing a lot of their new players over the course of the afternoon out there. Charvarius Ward is the corner they brought in. And there is a very high level of expectation there. And really, it was described by them, and it's described by him today, a do-it-all. They're expecting him to be an elite-level corner. And Charvarius Ward will join us, I think, at some point here, a little bit later on. Don't know exactly when. But we shall do that, and then we'll recap everything that's been going on over there earlier today with Mike Chappell. That is coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. So, as you well know, loaded show. I know the Pacers don't play again until tomorrow night, but we have a ton of basketball to talk about. Yeah, the Cooper Flag situation from earlier today is something, at least nationally speaking, in college basketball that everybody is following. Yeah, the story was exited the game, helped to the locker room, left ankle situation as Duke was taking on Georgia Tech a little bit earlier today. So we'll follow that story. Despite being ruled out of the game with an ankle injury, Cooper Flag is on the bench. He was, again, on the bench supporting Duke. And we'll keep you updated on the latest regarding that big story. I don't think there's any question about that. And more on the Big Ten, if you guys want to go IU coaching search, we can certainly do that. But highly disappointing, and I completely understand. Disappointing, frustrating. Got a great day going on. You go down there, and nothing brings you down quicker than that. I thought by what we witnessed at the outset of the game, I thought, wow, these guys look like they're in a pretty good position, pretty good space right here. It just never lasts. It's like I mentioned, you've got to try to squeeze out as much productivity as you can in a given moment, because if you yourself pull the plug on it, it's detrimental, because you know at some point the plug is going to be pulled by the player, meaning it's going to go away. It's going to stop. Whether you find a good level of balanced play from Ballo or Mbako or Renew, you know at some point it will not remain that way. So my thought was to squeeze out as much as humanly possible with it, and that did not work. We got a lot that. We'll talk a little Colts with you, too, in free agency. Colts go after a new defensive tackle, if you missed that late last night as well. And there is Daniel Jones making his way into the Colts media room. The competition, the backup quarterback, is, as of right now, speaking with the media. It is incredible stuff, to say the least. And as Jake mentioned, too, as we were doing the crossover with one another before the start of the show, the passing of author John Feinstein, author personality John Feinstein, as we learned that information a little bit earlier today as well. Yeah, it's tough. Really tough. All right, quick break. We'll come back. So Bobby Riddell, bottom of the hour. Charvarius Ward, Colts corner, going to join us a little bit later on when they call. And Mike Chappell. We're going to try to get somebody in with a little IU angle, I think, before the end of the show as well. Jeremiah says, I don't think the Hoosiers earned a tournament bid. I, for one, don't want to see them lose another game. Again, I would tell you this. Just who cares? Just play. That's why you're there. You're there to play. And if you're allowed to play, I don't know why. I do. The frustration sets in. I do get it. Now, what the hell you got to lose? Just go. At the very least, you can look back on the resume and revisionist history. You can say, well, you know what? This team made the tournament that season, and conveniently kind of forget about what took place this afternoon as to why everybody is going to be nervous whether or not this team's going to be able to make it. Tough to say the least, but I'm telling you, they go through moments when basketball looks all new to every single one of them. Seriously. It's like, hey, here's this basketball thing here. It bounces on the floor and everything. See that orange circular thing up there? If you put it in there, you get points. That's exactly the way that it looks sometimes. Like, hello, these are some guys, and this is the game of basketball. All right, quick one, we'll come back. Bobby Riddell, Bobby Buckets, Boilermaker Radio Network, Purdue USC later on tonight. We'll talk that up with Bobby, Charvarius Ward, Colts cornerback on the way, Mike Chappell, and then some stuff to give away in a busy show. If you guys want to chime in at 239-1070, you absolutely can. The stream, the app, HD Radio. Our friends at AAA, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, I will tell you that I saw Matt Godbout the other night. Matt Godbout is suggesting that they are firming up some dates so we can have a vacation together. A vacation for this show and its listeners together. Let's just think about that for a moment. Let me touch my chin and look up to the sky as if I'm pondering this for just a moment. I really don't think that there has been this level of idea in a while. But remember about AAA travel. A lot of AAA aspects going on there, especially having your back this time of year with the roads, maintaining road readiness, all that stuff, right? Having your back on the roads. But AAA travel, also incredibly convenient. AAA.com inside the AAA membership lounge. The stream, the app, HD Radio 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. We get buckets on here next.
in your face and calls you a I want you to be nice.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, we're discussing the blank show that I witnessed a little bit earlier today. My God. Woo! 36% from the field, 25% from three, 50% from the free throw line. Good God almighty. What? Like, hey, basketball, these are some guys right here. And, hey, some guys, this is basketball. 72-59, IU is done once again in that first game of the Big Ten Conference Tournament. And they will await weekend word on Selection Sunday, whether or not they're in. I will say this, Lenardi suggests as of right now they're in. We'll see how things may change landscape-wise in college basketball the next couple of days. Mike DeCourcy said yesterday they needed this win. Clearly they didn't get this win. He thinks they're out without this win. So we'll go from there. Discuss with you at 239-1070. Charvarius Ward of the Colts, their new cornerback's going to join us in a bit, too. Boilermakers got some business on their mind later on tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It is USC opposite of Matt Painter's crew this evening in the Big Ten Conference Tournament from the radio network. Bobby Riddell joins us now. Hey, Buckets, how we doing?
Hey, JMV, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Woo, man. I watched a team that couldn't shoot straight today. It was a struggle. That was not a clinic.
Oh, that was a tough shooting performance for the Hoosiers today. Certainly, I was able to catch some of that game as well, and thought they maybe were going to have them there in that second half when they got that lead down to 2, but just weren't able to, make enough shots and make enough quality plays there down the stretch.
If it were a clinic, it's probably a clinic that I would host right there. That'd be it. They go, hey, come, here's the JMV clinic right here. We're going to clinic a bunch of threes. We're going to be last man down on the floor. Ball's going to beat us down the floor every time, all but like one of us. So, yeah, that's what you want to stay away. Is the JMV basketball clinic. You do not want to pay to be a part of that. So, what'd you learn last night by watching Rutgers and USC that you didn't already know with a win over the Trojans early this season from a Purdue angle going into tonight, Bobby?
Sure. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting game and watching those two teams go at it. High-scoring affair, of course, reaching multiple overtimes, which from a Purdue perspective, you were kind of happy about that, right? You were thinking, hey, whichever team pulls this game out, they're going to have tired legs, hopefully, come Thursday evening, considering they're having to play, those additional minutes of basketball. But, that USC team, they definitely have a propensity to turn the basketball over at a high clip. The last two games now, 20 and 21 turnovers respectively. Purdue, when they've been at their best this year, from a defensive standpoint, it's been creating turnovers. So you hope that's able to kind of carry over from a USC perspective and that they can turn the ball over at a high clip again tonight. But this USC team, and, seeing them last night going against that Rutgers team that's got a lot of talent, at least on the top end, it was some high-level shot making there down the stretch with Wesley Yates and Desmond Claude. Claude was a guy that we didn't see in our first matchup in Mackey Arena when we played USC the one time earlier this year. He was out with injury, and, he's their leading scorer and certainly one of their, the primary ball handler and most impactful players. So it's going to be much different seeing him part of the puzzle tonight. But we saw Wesley Yates at Mackey, and he dropped a 30 ball. So we kind of know what sort of player he is. He obviously got the increased opportunity in that game in Mackey, had the ball in his hands even more due to Claude being out. But I think those two guys on the perimeter in particular form quite the 1-2 punch.
Bobby Riddell, Boilermaker Radio Network on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Boilers and USC coming up in the Big Ten Conference Tournament later on tonight. I kind of view USC like this. There are a lot of teams, I think, that would be described as such. It's like the whole Forrest Gump line, a box of chocolates, you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah. USC, the one thing you don't know is they are so athletic, they could play by a wide berth over their head on a given night. And to me, that's where I would start to want to see the Boilers stay away from that, meaning you lock them down, you take that confidence away because they're athletic enough, they are gifted enough that you add some confidence that maybe has not been consistent throughout the year. Who knows in a one-game, one-and-done situation what you're going to get?
I couldn't agree more. I think this team has got the talent, like you said, has plenty of athletes, guys who have good size. They don't have any elite size as far as what they play, but, a ton of those kind of 6'4" to 6'8" athletic wings that a number of guys who can put the ball on the floor, guys who can make shots. And you're right. I think if they're the type of team, based on the season they've had, that if you're maybe able, especially, playing a late game last night, double overtime, if you can somehow build a lead early and kind of get them down double figures, you might be able to get in a pretty comfortable position with them. But, man, yeah, you let those guys hang around, make shots early, get their heads up, you certainly could be in for a long evening.
I was talking to Matt yesterday, Bobby, and we had discussed together. It was more him. I was just listening. But we were discussing getting stops. And with the Illinois game, that was incredibly problematic. And I think you and I would agree, as he stated yesterday, when they've had defensive issues or lapses, getting stops in late game situations certainly has played a key role in some unraveling. There's something that you're capable from game to game to get over here, because that would seem to be a focus for this squad against USC later on tonight.
Definitely. It's from a defensive standpoint, it's kind of been one thing or the other, right? It feels like whenever we do a good job from a defensive standpoint and play good scouting report specific defense and don't have breakdowns, a lot of times those shots will go up and then maybe we won't close that possession with a rebound and give the other team a second chance opportunity. And then there's other times where maybe we do have some breakdowns and lose our focus, and then you allow baskets from quality players, and a lot of those have been shots near the rim, dunks and layups, and those are the ones that have definitely driven the coaching staff crazy, especially against some of these teams we've played that have not necessarily been great three-point shooting teams. You want to make those teams beat you from the perimeter, and we've struggled to do that at times. So, yeah, it's been tough kind of putting it all together from a defensive standpoint as far as, just execution and then closing possessions with a rebound. And that's definitely why the defense has probably been our biggest issue here as of late. Because, offensively, you score 80 points on the road at Illinois. You would like to think that would be enough to get the win. But, Illinois, certainly made some big shots late, but some of that was definitely due to some breakdowns as well.
Yeah, it's Bobby Riddell, Boilermaker Radio Network. Later on tonight, Purdue, USC. That's the 9 o'clock second round Big Ten tournament matchup. Again, later on this evening. Are there any comparisons you can make? And the reason why I bring this up is because last check, it was the Illinois game almost a week ago on a Friday night in Champaign. Are there any comparisons to be made between USC and that of Illinois, athletically speaking, size-wise, what either likes to do? Any way we can bridge the gap from last Friday up until later on tonight?
I think there's some comparisons between those two teams. It's Illinois's got Ivasic down low, so they do have a little bit more of a true traditional center, but there was a lot of times in that game with Illinois when he was either due to foul trouble or just due to their own, decision-making from a substitution standpoint that he was off the floor, and Illinois kind of played some of that small ball. And so I think that's from a matchup standpoint could have a lot of similarities tonight, as USC oftentimes plays kind of a small ball look with AG as their center at about 6'8". So I think, it could be another game where Camden Heide, who – even though didn't have huge numbers in that Illinois game from a plus-minus standpoint, at least when he was on the floor, Purdue played pretty well. And he unfortunately, picked up those 5 fouls all in the second half and fouled out late in that game. And that certainly could have been a big, part of that game as the game unwound down the stretch. And so it could be a situation for him today where, his services will be extremely useful, and hopefully, him and Miles Colvin, we've talked about both those guys here as of late. I feel like both are trending upward as far as their quality of play, and that's at the right time as you're coming into March. So hopefully those guys are ready to, put their best foot forward here in the tournament. I think Cam and Heidi certainly could be pivotal against a team like USC. And, these guys got the same kind of level of athleticism that Illinois presents.
Yeah, in closing, too, I mentioned this a couple of times. I think I mentioned this to both Matt. I mentioned this to Rob Blackman, your partner on the radio network as well. It just seems like to me when Lawyer has an above average for him offensive performance, to me, most of the time it seems like when I'm watching that equates to one of the better efforts you're going to see out of this Boilermaker team. Is that at all an accurate gauge? Because I know oftentimes we talk about Colvin, talk about Heidi, but to me it's more what they get from the third guy. If it's above his normal average, then to me normally that feels like that's going to be a good night.
I agree with you. I think from an offensive standpoint, usually when Fletcher's good, Purdue is really good because, Braden and Trey have just got to a point that they're typically night in, night out are pretty elite from a production standpoint. That was kind of one of the weird things about that game down in Assembly Hall, where, Purdue had built that nice 12-point halftime lead, and, Fletcher ended up with a pretty solid performance overall. I think he ended up, 18, 20 points somewhere in that region. But it was one of the few games where, unfortunately, Braden and Trey did not have their best performances to go alongside that. But, yeah, for the most part, when Fletcher plays well, Purdue's pretty dynamic offensively. And those, the big three, when you combine their output, when they all play well, Purdue usually puts up a pretty big number offensively. And, that's, then it comes down to sometimes, does that fourth guy or fifth guy kind of chip in and give some production as well. But usually when Fletcher plays well, we score enough points to win. It just comes down to, are we able to stop the opposition enough as well?
Completely agree. 9 o'clock, that means you guys hit the airwaves at 8 later on tonight, too. You guys going to have a fantastic call and some good conversation, right?
Yeah, it should be good. It's always fun this time of year as you start this kind of win-or-go-home type basketball. The Big Ten tournament, I feel like for Purdue this year, takes on a little added extra meaning considering we weren't able to get that coveted three-peat from a regular season championship standpoint.
Yeah.
And from an NCAA tournament seeding standpoint, I feel like there's still some wiggle room for us if we make a good run to, move our way up the seed list. And
what do you think their seed is right now? Hey, Bobby, what's the seed right now in your opinion?
It seems like from, most of the bracketologists, they have us in that 4 seed range. But, we're battling right there in that 4 or 5 seed range with a ton of other Big Ten teams. I think Wisconsin really being the one I'm kind of eyeing the most as they're playing Northwestern right now. I feel like, being that top 4 seed, I think would give you that Midwest region. I think I understand the bracketing principles that way, where you would get the closest region to home if you're the top 4 seed. And so the Midwest region, of course, with Indy would be great. Because if you're going to try to knock off a 1 seed, it would be nice to be able to do it in your backyard if you're Purdue. Whereas I think Wisconsin, of course, would want that Indianapolis slot as well. So I think that's where, this Big Ten tournament could be huge as far as if you can advance further than the Badgers. I don't know if it's close. Obviously, they beat us in Mackey, but I'm guessing our resumes appear to be close enough to where, whoever makes a better run in this tournament could get an edge from that sort of seedless standpoint. And then maybe you could jump up to the 3 line, depending on how some of those other teams above you do. But it seems like we've kind of determined that, the Sunday game in the Big Ten tournament doesn't seem to have, any bearing, if at all, on the final bracket. But for Purdue, if you could win 3 games in a row here, get to that championship game on Sunday, that might be enough to hopefully move you up some spots in the seed list and get something advantageous, whether that's a 3 seed or whether that's maybe that top 4 seed that gets to go to the Indianapolis region.
It is Bobby Riddell. He's from the Boilermaker Radio Network, 9 o'clock tonight for Purdue and USC. Bobby's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You and Rob have a fantastic call. We'll do it again soon, Bobby. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, JMV.
Bobby Riddell on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I let him down, though, because we're not live down there today, so it would have been Cocktail City before a 9 o'clock broadcast. I would assume, I don't know, they may not follow a similar path, as do I. It definitely would have been Cocktail City for me. In fact, it may have already been Cocktail City for me. But, yeah, I let everybody down because I'm not out and about today. I'm in studio with Lamb of God, so it is a little bit different. Highly unfortunate, but we're still going to give you the content that's necessary. Charvarius Ward of the Colts going to join us, their new cornerback, I should say, coming up. We've got Mike Chappell and hopefully an IU angle from somebody here before we bail at 6 o'clock. Stuff to give away. I'll explain your calls on the other side. IU Butler losing in the Big Ten and the Big East conference tournaments earlier today. Back to that next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
This is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Charvarius Ward, the new Colts cornerback, joins us a little bit after 4 o'clock today, so be ready for that. Yeah, I mentioned no live show, not on the road today, which is a bummer. Man, what a glorious day to be on the road today. In studio again tomorrow, too. I've got bad news about St. Patrick's Day. I guess, given the fact this is on a Monday, that we're all going to get blanked and not have a celebration. Can I say that? Can I say blanked? We are not going to be able to celebrate St. Patrick's Day together per usual on a Monday. However, you know me. And you know I got your back. Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel. And you're going to go, wait a minute. What? Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel on Tuesday of next week. Couple of things here. One, we have put together a bracket challenge with Moyer Fine Jewelers. The winner will receive a $5,000 diamond. The value is $5,000. That's the winner, which is a huge deal. And I'll let you know whenever we get started. They normally take care of it. I'll promote the absolute hell out of it. They take care of it on that end. But we're going to be at Moyer on Tuesday, and I want to make sure everybody comes by. I mean, everybody, because first of all, we all need watches, fellas, so just come by. And believe me, if you're thinking about popping the question or taking that relationship to the next level, don't blank it up like me, okay? So if something you can learn, I will teach you to do it right, to do it perfect. You want a grand slam. You do not want a slow-rolling dribbler that goes foul. Moyer Fine Jewelers next Tuesday. And the kicker to this is they have a bar on the second floor they call the GOAT. And it looks like Cheers. Seriously, the GOAT, and it looks like Cheers. We are celebrating with a live show from the GOAT. The bar, join us. Moyer Fine Jewelers next Tuesday. In the GOAT, that's the bar on the second floor of Moyer Fine Jewelers. And I know a lot of you go, well, I had no idea. Well, believe me, you're going to absolutely love it. Promise. So we all celebrate together next Tuesday. I got your back, I do. And I think a couple of different times next week I'm going to be out. So, the GOAT. I'm sorry, the GOAT is near the Arts District. Yes, exactly. That's where we're going to be. The GOAT near the Arts District is where we're going to be coming up. Right over there near. I misspoke, but we're still going to be out, so that's true. You're going to love it. I want you to join us. Make sure you do. So we'll talk up Moyer, live at the GOAT. Have a great time. That's coming up next week. So that's me kind of giving back to you because we're not out today, not out tomorrow, at the GOAT, Carmel, next week with us. That's on Tuesday. Going to have a great time. That's next week with our friends from Moyer at the GOAT. All right, Charvarius Ward, new Colts corner coming up after 4. Mike Chappell, and I think Rabjohn's going to jump on here and talk about all this IU stuff as well. Do you think IU's in the tournament with this resume, with that loss today? You and I discussed that as well coming up next at 239-1070. Don't go anywhere.
Airhead. Just drive fast, okay?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It is Charvarius Ward coming up in just a bit, so don't go anywhere. The new Colts corner will be right here on this here show. Hoosiers a loser. They are done in the Big Ten Conference Tournament again in game number 1. Butler a loser to St. John's earlier today in the Big East Conference Tournament. And you still have Purdue later on tonight. 9 o'clock, Purdue and USC in the second round. The Thursday games coming straight at you again tonight, 9 o'clock. And Bobby Riddell a little bit earlier, podcast 1075thefan.com. Tim Martin chimes in with this. IU needs a guy like number 3 from Oregon who can create their own shot. IU needs a guy that can make any of the shots they take. That's what they need. You guys ready? Outside of Mackenzie Mbako, who was 5 for 10. Ballo, 4 of 11. He was 4 of 11, and every shot he takes is within a foot and a half from the rim. 4 of 11 on right next to the rim. I swear to God, they missed in the first half. I counted at least 6 layups. 4 of 11 from right there in front of the rim. Leal was 2 of 3 from the field. He missed 2. They were down 4. He missed 2 front ends of one-on-ones, which can't happen. Galloway, 6 of 18. Malik Renew off the bench was 8 of 15. Now, here's where it gets really good. You guys ready? Off the bench. And really, what are you going to count on here? Miles Rice was 0 for 5. Carlisle was 0 for 2. And then Luke Goody was 0 for 5. So between the three, 0 for 12. And again, you get kind of in those circumstances what you deserve, don't you? And yet another disappointing loss. But again, I'll say this. If they make the tournament, I wouldn't be an IU fan that's suggesting they should not go. You want to go. You always want to play. I mean, hell. Maybe you don't want to watch it. I would say this. I would say if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. And we'll find out. As far as the bracketology is concerned, this was what Eddie Garrison, I'm assuming both he and Jake talked about that a little bit earlier on their show. As it stands right now regarding IU, these are the teams that Lenardi this afternoon has described. And in the last 4 teams that will be playing in Dayton, he has, as a part of this, Indiana 19-13, 10-10 in the Big Ten, good for 9th. Lost to Oregon today. He has them described as safely in the field. Their net 52, quad 1, 4 for 13, quad 2, 5-0, quad 3, 6-0, quad 4, 4-0. So he has them safely in the field. He has Xavier safely in the field, but last check, I think Xavier was beating Marquette. We'll check that scoreboard. North Carolina, he's suggesting needs a win in the ACC. We'll check that this afternoon, too. They're taking on Wake Forest. So, again, he has Indiana, and this is Lenardi. Yesterday we were talking to Mike DeCourcy, and he thought that they needed that win today to solidify. We'll see. And, again, his thought was they needed it because there are going to be some bid stealers out there that we'll see. Lenardi, as of right now, has them in. Again, at 19-13 And we can make arguments whether or not they belong or deserve it or whatever. But yeah, if you still want to see them push forward, I would think. It's me. Mike Chappell coming up. Jeff Rabjohns will join us. We'll talk about that, the coaching search there, a little bit more regarding IU, and get you updated on all the college basketball, including what is happening at Gainbridge Fieldhouse right now with Wisconsin and Northwestern, too. But conference tournaments going on this Thursday afternoon. And we have you fully covered. Bobby Riddell of the Boilermaker Radio Network a little bit earlier, too. Again, if you were thinking about the Pacers go back-to-back. Philly tomorrow night and Milwaukee again for a rematch. That is coming up on Saturday night in Milwaukee. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, introed a little bit earlier today out of the Colts complex. He comes in as a free agent and certainly one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. Charvarius Ward is kind enough to join us on this Thursday afternoon on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Charvarius, thank you very much for the time. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How are you doing?
I'm doing equally amazing. We're just two amazing dudes right here.
Yes, sir.
You feeling me?
I love to hear it. Yes, I love to hear it.
Can we, I don't know how in-depth you've got on this, but Mooney. Can you explain that? Mooney.
Yeah, I've been asking about that about like 10 times a day.
I know. Well, I'm nerdy just like every other nerd out there. So,
yeah. I feel like it was just a real random name that they called one day, and it just stuck. And it originally started as Mooney Man. As I got older, I dropped the man and just started calling myself Mooney. So yeah, man, that's the best explanation I can give you.
Would you rather go by that than Charvarius, or does it matter?
Of course, Mooney for sure.
Dude, I'm just one name. See, I go by JMV, 3 letters. You go by Mooney, 1 name. All right?
JMV, what's your first name then?
John Michael Vincent. That was made up by a former big-time host of this show way back when.
Okay, JMV.
JMV.
Okay,
John Michael Vincent.
JMV.
Yeah, you believe? Hey, you know what else they do, Mooney? They tell me I suck. They go JMV sucks and go JMV SUX. You believe they do that to me around here?
Nah, they don't do that to you.
They do that to me. They do. And they put it on shirts and stuff, too, Mooney.
Man, you sound like a cool guy. I don't know why they do that.
Oh, there you go. That's going into a promo vault right there from
you're a cool dude, man.
Mooney on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. How quickly did this entire deal and the interest from the Colts, once free agency began, come together?
It actually kind of, I'm not going to say it kind of surprised me, but originally I thought I was going to New Orleans because the deal was almost done. Then the Colts, I guess they realized how great of a player I am, you know what I'm saying? And they came in and kind of beat out the Saints at the last minute. So it happened pretty fast. Like I said, I thought I was going to end up in New Orleans, close to home. I grew up 2 hours from New Orleans, but it did happen. I'm happy to be with the Colts, though, so I'm ready to get going.
Macomb, Mississippi, I believe, Mooney. That is your hometown, correct?
Yeah, Macomb, Mississippi. Yeah, small town in Mississippi.
You know, the one thing that strikes me about you is, and listen, dudes work for everything they get, don't get me wrong, but you have had a very interesting path where it seems like every point you've really had to prove yourself again and again. Has that kind of made you into the person that you are, just that consistency of proving yourself to others as you've had to do at every stop?
Yes, sir. I'll say it's more so proving to myself. Like, I always wanted to prove to myself that I can make it to the NFL. I wanted to prove to myself that I can be a starter in the NFL. I wanted to prove to myself that I can be a Pro Bowler. I want to prove to myself that I can be an all-pro. You know, I accomplished those things. And this year, I feel like I got something else to prove that I'm still one of the best corners in the game. I know last year was kind of like it was a tumultuous year for me. I went through a lot. It was kind of a down year because mentally I was kind of defeated. But this year, you know, I'm back up on my A game, back up on my, you know, back in my bag, so I'm going to prove that I'm still one of the best corners in the game this season.
Well, and again, that's been every point, too, because you were not invited to the Combine. The Combine was here 2 weeks ago, and we always do live shows down there, and you were not invited to that, and you didn't let the disappointment overcome you or swamp you. I mean, what you did, you went back to work, you went to pro day, had a great pro day, and then kind of moved on from there.
Yeah, so I really wasn't too much concerned with the Combine. Even getting drafted, I wasn't concerned with getting drafted because I kind of knew I wasn't going to get drafted because I didn't start much in college. all I know is what I needed the opportunity, and it took one team to give me an opportunity. The Cowboys signed me, after I went undrafted, and I just took off from there. Once I got my foot in the door, I knew I was gonna kick the door down and do my thing, and that's what I did. That's what I did. That's what I'm continuing to do.
Mooney joins us. One more time, I'll explain it. Charvarius Ward, the new Colts corner. Mooney, one name Mooney is what we're going by here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'm not a big fan of the combine either. I go down there, and there's like 1,000 dudes that walk by and never have time to talk to you. And I go, well, hell, what good is this doing me here? So we're two guys that agree that we're both really cool, and we agree that the combine can be a little bit of a waste of time. You don't necessarily need it in this case.
Yeah, it can help you and it can hurt you, but like I said, man, once I got opportunity, that was all I needed, and it's been up for me since then.
Do you always know that you could play at this level, at the highest level in the NFL?
Yeah, I kind of had that internal belief that I could go to the NFL since I was a kid. Yeah, I just had that. I always had that belief in myself. I don't know where it come from. I guess I was born like that. I was born with that confidence and belief in myself that I was going to be an NFL player. I didn't play much football in high school. I only played 1 year of high school football because I was in high school for 3 years. So, yeah, I played 1 year of high school ball, went JUCO, then went to Middle Tennessee State, and I just been, getting better each and every year. Wherever I've been at, I've gotten better and better every year. So yeah, that belief helped me out a lot.
What was football your best sport in high school?
It was my only sport, actually. It was my only sport.
So why so late? A little background on that.
So I grew up, big family, single mom.
Sure.
Four brothers and sisters. So it was 5 of us. And man, I was trying to get a job. I was trying to get a job at McDonald's and Kroger's to make a little money to help my mom out. So I applied for almost everywhere in Macomb to get a job, and nobody would hire me, which was the biggest blessing ever, because if I would have got a job, I probably would have never started playing football. So when I didn't get a job, I was like, F it, man, I gotta do something. So I started playing football, and best decision of my life. You
are becoming right now my favorite player of all time. Seriously.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, no, this is. Like, I learned some stuff. It's so I didn't know you were going to be on. I was actually at IU Oregon watching the game, and then I did the show at the Fieldhouse and came over here. And then you met Matt Conti, that's the great guy that works with the Colts in the media, said, hey, Mooney is going to come on the show. So I was doing a little background check. This is the stuff. This is the stuff that's awesome. Is how you get to where you are right now from where you were, and all these hurdles that most of us, Mooney, honestly never ever go through. This is awesome. It's a great story.
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, perseverance, man. Never give up, man. I got that never give up mentality. I feel like you can do anybody, me. I feel like we all can do anything we put our mind to, as long as you work for it and believe in yourself and believe you can do it, man. I think you can get it done. So, that's what I try to do with everything I do.
I would suggest that your attitude is perfect, Mooney, for the corner position, because that is hard as hell, and you're going to get your ass beat, and you got to come right back and act like that it didn't happen and do it again.
Yeah, over and over again, man. You got to play like that as well. Like, you can't play scared to get beat. Like, you got to line up like thinking you better than the guy in front of you. Even if you get beat, man, line up the next play like it never happened. Like, just like you just said, and we going back to war. We going back to battle every play.
So going back to Macomb when you were getting a job, did you finally get a job?
The NFL. Shit, the NFL.
Nobody ever gave you a job in high school when you were looking for it back then?
Nah, man. I used to go around and like rake yards and stuff like that to make money. But other than that, I never. My mom and stepdad used to give me like $20 for every A on my report card though. So I used to get a lot of money every report card time because I was like A/B student. So that was kind of like my income.
That's awesome. What?
Yeah.
So this had to be like we think this is we hear about this stuff so much, and contracts and signings and free agency, but this is probably so incredibly more meaningful than we even understand for you right now, isn't it? This situation?
Yeah. I mean, it's a big moment, man. Life changing. I think it's my 3rd contract that I signed, but I'm always grateful. I'm always thankful for all the blessings that I'm getting and receiving. And I'm just try to be happy and spread joy.
Lou Anarumo is the first-year defensive coordinator here, Mooney. In your conversation with him, what has he told you, expectations, and what he wants to see out of you? Again, you haven't been on the field yet here, but in conversations, what has he told you?
He kind of told me he wanted me to be the big dog. He wanted me to get back to doing what I do best, pressing guys, and following the best receiver around, covering the best guys. So, obviously, he wanted me to be that big dog. They're going to come in and, man up the best receiver and hold my own. You know what I mean? So, I think he expected me to come in and be that CB1 and, elevate this defense, especially the secondary.
So Mooney joins us on the Indy Automotive Group hotline, new Colts corner. What do you, as far as the cornerback position, what do you think you're best at doing, playing that position?
Like what Coach Lou told me to do, man, just pressing and getting my hands on guys and being physical. So I hope he can help me master my technique, teach me some new things that I don't know. I'm always willing to learn, but I definitely know pressing and getting my hands on guys is my best skill. I'm real patient at the line of scrimmage, so I like to disrupt the receivers' timing and everything. So I look forward to learning from Coach Lou.
What do you think about the team that, at least as of right now, defensively, you have around you? What are you thinking about this group?
I think the team great. We got a great D-line. I love Kenny, man. I know Kenny for a few years now. I just love his energy, the way he plays, his swag and confidence. And obviously DeForest Buckner, I know him a little bit. Sampson, I know he can get out to the pass as well. I know he was hurt. And the linebackers is there. So I think we got a lot of talent at all three levels of the defense, and it's a matter of building that chemistry and coming together and just making each other better every day in OTAs, training camps, and all the workouts and all the meetings. And I think we got a lot of potential to be a great defense.
What do you know about this area, if anything? I guess about Indiana, about Indianapolis. What came to mind when you first learned you were going to go here? What did you know?
I knew it was going to be kind of cold in the wintertime, but other than that.
But now you got here, man. It's sunshiny with this attitude you brought in here. Look at the damn weather.
It's beautiful weather today. But I don't know much about Indy, man, but I look forward to getting here, moving in to wherever I move in at, and getting around in the city and making an impact in the community for sure.
Hey, I saw they call it, the younger generation calls it a fit. And I saw the suit that you had on today. Was that you or was that somebody else? Because that thing was tight. You look good.
It was 10 out of 10. Nah, it was I got a woman that helped me put a suit together from a guy named Don Murphy, and it was an amazing suit. It was one of my favorite suits that I worn. You're gonna be seeing a lot of those though. I wear a lot of suits for sure. I'll be on my business acronym.
No, that looked good right there. It did, man. It did. Mooney joins us. Hey, San Francisco, I'm just going to mention San Fran and Kansas City. Where'd you feel like that your game at that position evolved the most over your career so far?
Kind of in San Francisco. I think I became more of a man in San Francisco. I was young when I was in Kansas City. I definitely got, I learned a lot in Kansas City, and I got better and better each year in Kansas City. But in San Francisco, they signed me to truly be CB1. You know what I'm saying? D guy in the secondary. And I think I took on that challenge and I accepted that role. And I think I thrived in it my first 2 years in San Francisco. And I'm looking forward to getting back to being that guy in the secondary.
Oh, man. It's Mooney with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right here. So what's on the schedule coming up? You going to get all moved out here and then get ready to get going with the Colts, I assume?
Yeah, man. I just got in today earlier this morning around 8 this morning. I met all the coaches, did a bunch of media stuff, met all the people in the building, a couple of players, and I'm about to head back home, but I'll be back out for OTAs, moving in, and looking forward to, getting settled into Indy with my family.
So I just get a text from the president of AAA around here. He's a friend. He listens, named Matt, who said, let Mooney know that AAA Hoosiers CEO Matt Goins, I should say, is a tremendous fan of yours. So Matt is a big fan of yours. I think he was already a big fan, but by virtue of this conversation, you're getting a lot of big fans around here because this is awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Just trying to bring good vibes, good
No,
energy.
we are, buddy. Together.
Yep.
Good vibes together is what we do. Because the other thing about it around here is the winning has been few and far between, and the expectations kind of get stacked. And you've been a part of a high level of winning, certainly at your last couple of stops here. So that's what people really get excited about is that.
Yeah, hopefully I can bring that winning experience, man, and just touch one guy, and that guy touch another guy in a positive light, and this team, we can reach new heights.
It's a pleasure to talk with you and meet with you. Hopefully we do that again. And I know you've made a lot of fans here in this conversation. I know you've been through a lot, and you're one of the cooler dudes I've talked to, man. Just a ray of sunshine. I appreciate that today. That's pretty awesome.
Yes, I appreciate you too, man. Nice talking to you.
You got it. That's Mooney right there. New Colts corner on the Indy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Charvarius Ward. I can 100% get down with that. 100%. And really had nothing to do with me being cool or anything like that. It had everything to do, you look at what he has been through, and then you hear who he is right now. The positivity just overflows. I can get down with that every single day. Like, James, that's the type of attitude that you want to hear every single, especially knowing what all he's been through.
Mm-hmm. That was a real cool dude. Right
He's
there.
awesome.
Yeah,
I love that. Love that. And see, when you have people on you've never talked to, you don't know what to expect. But all of that was awesome. There's somebody you can get behind right there. Charvarius Ward is the name, but he goes by Mooney. And we'll call him Mooney on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. And just to know the dynamic, he just went into a little bit of what he has been through. And it's incredible. That is a good conversation right there. Podcast 1075thefan.com. Shout out to Matt, too, of AAA that chimed in on that. That's pretty awesome as well. Rab Johns and Mike Chappell coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour. Tickets to give away as well. Updates on the conference tournaments going on. IU a loser, Butler a loser. IU significantly on the NCAA tournament bubble to most, out to some, into some others. That and more at 239-1070. Your calls next.
Bobby, I'm your white knight.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, Mooney's awesome, by the way. Podcast 107.5thefan.com. Charvarius Ward. Going by Mooney, the new cornerback of the Colts. And if you missed that conversation, you will absolutely want to double back and hear at 107.5thefan.com. It was good stuff. Skivvy says he said he wanted to bounce back. What were his struggles? Sounds like a cool dude. He's an incredibly cool dude. He got into it a little bit. And, you know, obviously I had talked to those over there before, and I was going to let him, if he wanted to get into it, he could. If he didn't, I completely understood. But he went through just an incredible mountain of emotion a year ago with the loss of his daughter during the season. And he touched on that a little bit. And I was going to let him go there, and if he wanted to, and if not. But he's fun as hell to talk to right there. And if you look back on his career, every single step, it seems like he talked about being back, played 1 year of high school football because he was out there trying to get a job for his family. So this is really good stuff. Very bright, sunshiny, very personal, great attitude. Good stuff with Mooney, the podcast at 1075thefan.com. This is from Kevin. So JMV, 25 years ago, the state of Indiana, had 6 teams in the 2000 NCAA tournament. A lot of them had Indiana-based kids on their teams. IU, Purdue, Ball State, ISU, Valpo, and Butler. The good old days. I remember 2000 very well. Thank you very much. It is going to be a struggle this year. Purdue. We'll see about IU still, but Purdue, as of right now, solidly in. Wisconsin, by the way, a 12-point advantage, under 3 to go in the second half over Northwestern. The second game of the day going on at Gainbridge Fieldhouse of round number 2 of the Big Ten Conference Tournament. I saw where Martinelli of Northwestern must have had something happen with his jersey. He's rocking the number 66. He's rocking the extra jersey that you bring when something goes haywire with a jersey. If you missed it, IU a loser earlier today, 72-59 to Oregon. Malik Renew had 19. That does not tell the story. What does is they can't shoot a lick. We knew that going in, and they backed that up in this afternoon affair. They were atrocious from the field. Field goal, 3-point. They were 50% from the free throw line. Leal had just a couple of ridiculous front end of one-on-one misses. They're down 4 in the second half. So IU and IU fans, wait in frustration. I think Rab John's going to jump on here toward the end of the 5 o'clock hour to discuss that. Yesterday, Mike DeCourcy thought they needed this win to get in. As of right now, Joe Lenardi suggests they are in. IU fans will have to wait till this weekend, I guess. All right, 2 games later on tonight. Night session, 6:30, Iowa and Illinois. USC and Purdue, the nightcap tonight at 9 o'clock. And Bobby Riddell from the Boilermaker Radio Network joined us, and we discussed that. And Butler today, you kind of knew, much like, I guess, IU and how they shot it today, you kind of knew how things were going to go for Butler. 78-57 is the final. And mercifully, the Butler Bulldog basketball season is over. Now, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, too. One of those teams on the so-called bubble, I think, was Xavier. They are trailing Marquette right now, 85-82, with about 10 seconds remaining. From Pike High School, the former Indiana State standout, it doesn't really hurt me because what are you going to do? Ryan Conwell has 33 right now to lead Xavier. A year ago, Ryan Conwell and India, we were all enjoying that run, and 33 for Xavier right now. They are on the wrong end right now of an 85-82 game with Marquette in the Big East. DePaul, Creighton, Villanova, UConn, the games in the Big East coming up a little bit later on this evening. You know, I mentioned, too, with Ryan Conwell playing for Xavier, the A-10 tournament, St. Louis, Josh Schertz, the head coach at Indiana State a year ago. Goggles and Isaiah Swope a part of that Billiken squad. And Robbie Avila had 13 and 11 rebounds. And Isaiah Swope, 26 to lead the way for St. Louis. So the Billikens moving on in the A-10 conference. See, it doesn't hurt me anymore. It may have been a time when it hurt me. It no longer hurts. The way that it is. In the SEC today, another one of those bubble teams, Texas, an 8-point advantage as they approach the end of the first half against number 14, Texas A&M. As that game's going on right now down in Nashville at the Bridgestone Arena. Earlier today, it was Ole Miss over Arkansas. That's Chris Beard's squad, by the way, 83-80. And later on tonight, Mississippi State and Missouri, Oklahoma and Kentucky. That is in the SEC down in Nashville, Tennessee for you as well. I know a lot of you are asking about what's going on these bubble teams for you IU fans out there in case you care. North Carolina, another one. 6-minute mark of the second half. The Tar Heels trail Wake Forest 56-54. And I think to Lenardi and to DeCourcy and others, this is an elimination game here. So Carolina loses, and it is bubble watch over. Duke a winner earlier today. And Cooper Flagg, their incredible freshman, goes down with an ankle injury. 78-70 over Georgia Tech. 2 games later on tonight in the ACC, that is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Stanford and Louisville and SMU and Clemson. And, of course, a lot of IU fans are watching as far as who may end up being the next head coach. And I'm assuming some will watch number 10, Clemson, at 26-5 on the season, and their head coach, Brad Brownell. So just a little bit of what is going on in tournament play throughout the country. We'll try to continue to highlight those that are on the bubble of interest to you, IU fans out there as well. All right, 239-1070 is the number. Some calls coming up on the other side. We have tickets to give away. Pantera and Offspring, separate shows, but tickets to give away. James, I did want to ask you this. We have our own bracket challenge, correct, right here?
Yes, we do. It'll be on ESPN. I just sent out the link to you, to Lindsay, to Gina, so y'all can post it on your social media. People can start signing it up. Did you know that Gina
just started at Wish TV Channel 8? I had no idea.
I did not
until
know
this
that.
Week. Yeah.
Congratulations to her. But yeah, it's
in the mornings. You got to get incredibly. Hopefully, the toilet's over there flush and everything.
But the group is now open. You can sign up. I sent out the link to Lindsay, to Gina, to JMV. I'm going to post it on my social media, so you can start signing up and getting set up for the bracket.
I saw Lindsay a little bit earlier today. We were hanging out at the IU Oregon game for a little bit. But yeah, we got that bracket challenge. I also want to say this too. Our friends at Moyer, we're going to be at the GOAT next Tuesday. Remember that in Carmel. This is going to be very important for you to stop by. They have a bracket challenge, $5,000 diamond is to the winner of the bracket challenge. You can check it out, MoyerFineJewelers.com. You can find the link there to that bracket challenge. That is a big deal. That's going to help you. Let's just say, for example, you're out there, fellas, and you're absolutely stinking clueless, which certainly describe me and may even describe you right now as well. This will clear the path. $5,000 diamond to the winner of our bracket challenge, MoyerFineJewelers.com. And we're going to be live next week at the Goat in Carmel with that. So, for goodness sake, don't miss a second. Join us coming up next Tuesday at the Goat. Cannot wait to see you there. Mike Chappell coming up at the top of the hour. Daniel Jones, the quarterback competition introduced to the local media earlier today. We'll go over all that, the work that the Colts have done so far in free agency. And if you miss Mooney, that's Charvarius Ward, you missed a lot. He was absolutely fantastic to start the hour. Mooney has a podcast at 1075thefan.com. Mike Chappell, Jeff Rabjohns will go IU coaching search. IU's lost to Oregon today, and where they are as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned with Jeff in the 5 o'clock hour. Stream the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
course.
That's impossible. They're on instruments. This is going to be a real sweat.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
ACC game going down to the wire here. Carolina, 4-point advantage over Wake Forest right now. Carolina's one of those bubble teams. IU a loser earlier today, so IU fans, along with IU, will wait and find out their fate over the weekend as these teams position to make a run at the NCAA tournament. And it was ugly. Across the board, it was ugly. IU a loser to Oregon, Wisconsin a winner over Northwestern. 2 more games later on tonight features Illinois and Iowa and Purdue and USC. Hey, by the way, James and I were talking about this. If you've watched the Big 12 conference tournament in Kansas City, I'm not one that sits around and cries and whines about the way floors look or – other than me celebrating old school greatness in uniforms, I really have never cared about what other dudes wear all that much. But I am going to complain. The floor in Kansas City in the Big 12 tournament is awful, and it almost hurts your eyes to look at it. What the hell is that supposed to be? Is that supposed to be a tread?
I have no idea.
What is it? It's a Phillips 66 is the sponsor, right?
I think so, yeah.
Is it a tread of some kind? Is it like reinforced steel that you get on especially heavy equipment?
So it's the wood planks are adorned with repeating Roman numerals XII, which is the conference's logo.
Oh, that's what I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
So really it's kind of like one of those pictures where it's like the picture, you stare at it long enough. What are those things called? There's an episode of Seinfeld. So, yeah,
Rorschach?
Mr. Pitt had to stare at this picture, and he was looking for his sailboat, and he could never see it.
It's not like a Rorschach test or something.
Hell, I don't know. I don't even know what the hell that is.
Like
you said Rorschach. I thought you were talking about Welcome Back, Kotter.
Where it's like the psychologist, it's like, what do you see? And it's a bunch of ink blots, and some people say they see birds, and some people say.
Could somebody come up and tell me, because I'm not very bright, what the hell I'm talking, what kind of picture that is? Where you're staring at it, and it's a picture inside. You got an answer?
No, I was just about to say, I know we're not the only ones that hate it, because when I Googled the Big 12 court, the first thing that comes up is an article saying, profound Big 12 tournament court design unpopular among fans. So we're not the only ones.
Listen, I don't really care about the design, but it hurts your eyes to watch it.
It's hard to look at. It's like those.
And maybe it's a TV thing. Maybe live it comes off better.
It's like when they were doing the NBA Cup and they had all the teams with the different courts, and the Celtics court was god awful to look at. Any team that had like a prominent green court,
right?
It hurts your eyes.
See, Jake had an X message he just sent me. The Big 12 floor looks like one of those magic eye portraits of the mid-90s. I wonder if Mr. Pitt can see the game.
It does look like something where if you covered one eye and looked at it, it would be different than if you covered the other eye and looked at it.
Jeremiah tells me it is called a stereogram. Magic eye posters, Curtis and Andrew. Jeremiah says stereogram?
Yes, that is exactly what it looks like.
So it's got Big 12 logos in it. I thought it looked like some heavy equipment, like reinforced piece of steel and a wheel well or something. I go, is this something to do with Phillips 66?
It does kind of look like treads that have gone over the court, yeah.
So have you seen the film Mallrats?
I have not, no.
All right. Mallrats has a similar poster in there, too.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think, is it the actor Ethan Suplee? I think is the one that gets frustrated about trying to see the sailboat in it. I believe that's the case. Well, you guys are right on it. I had no idea what that was, but it seriously hurts your eyes to look at that floor. And I'm not one that sit here and gripes about floors and, like, listen, do I love old school uniforms that are great? Yes. The Astros logos, like the Oilers, absolutely. That is just flat awful. Carolina looks like they may be pulling away. 65-59 over Wake. That's, by the way, a 4-5 ACC matchup. And a similar resumes, at least if speaking of Magic Eye, if you're eyeballing this, 21-12, 13-7 for Carolina overall and in the ACC. And Wake Forest 21-10 and 13-7 in conference. So many believe that to be a play-in situation. Mr. Pitt, I believe that was that the Mullen Springs episode 2? Had to stare at one of those things. A schooner or a sailboat? It is a bad floor. I spent way too much time on the bad floor. My bad. Other side, Mike Chappell's going to join us. If you missed Charvarius Ward of the Colts, their free agent signing, formerly of San Francisco, a corner, he goes by Mooney, and he was outstanding earlier. Absolutely outstanding. I'm telling you, you will love it if you missed it. Podcast 1075thefan.com. Jeff Rabjohns on the Hoosier bubble. The massive disappointment yet again today. And who may be in line to become one of these days very soon the next head coach of that IU basketball program. Jeff, coming up in a little over 30 minutes. Mike Chappell on the other side, Colts free agency, and tickets to give away too. All right, stream the app, HD Radio, inside the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
He wants to go see The Offspring. From Huntington Beach, California comes Dexter, Noodles, and The Offspring. Number 9 at 239-1070. You win, thanks to me. Ruoff Music Center, Saturday, July the 26th, 7 o'clock. The Offspring, number 9, you are a winner. We have, Pantera coming up. Hey, this weekend, I think, Counting Crows. Adam Duritz. And once upon a time, Adam Duritz was just, a who's who of Hollywood starlets back in the day. For Duritz, everybody. And I think it was just maybe me, my persona, because we were both on the same night at Johnny Depp's Viper Room in the 90s, taking a whiz at a stand-up urinal next to one another. So I think that's where he got all his, what will we call it, moxie, bravado, all that. Because back in the 90s, during Mr. Jones and Long December and whatever the hell else, Rain King, he was just, it's a who's who for Adam Duritz back then. I don't know if that is still the same today. All because of that moment at the stand-up urinal with one another. Different stand-up urinals. At the Viper Room. I want to say that was 1995 at the Viper Room. If you missed it earlier today, Mooney, and if you don't know who Mooney is, Charvarius Ward joined the show and was maybe one of the most outstanding conversations we have ever had. And especially with athletes. He was awesome. And if you missed any of that, the podcast is at 1075thefan.com. Bobby Riddell, Boilermaker Radio Network, Purdue and USC tonight, 9 o'clock. That's at Cambridge Fieldhouse. IU, a loser earlier today to Oregon. Now they wait to see if they're either on or off the bubble or their bubble bursts or whatever. Lenardi says they're in. DeCourcy said yesterday they needed to beat Oregon. North Carolina just won, so I don't know if that hurts or what. We'll go over that with Jeff Rabjohns coming up at the bottom of the hour. That plus the IU coaching search. Butler also a loser in the Big East Conference tournament a little bit earlier today. And we'll end up going through all of what's going on in conference tournaments as the afternoon sessions for most are ending. The night gatherings are about set to get underway in the next hour or so Eastern time. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from CBS 4 and Fox 59, he's been at the Colts complex all day as they have brought in a parade of new players with the Colts, new and old, I guess I should say here. Mike Chappell joins us now. So Mooney was on this show last hour. Mike was absolutely spectacular.
I hope he's half the player he is in person talking, because he hit like I think you mentioned, he hit home run. It was really, now he's a cornerback, and cornerbacks are like receivers. You've got to have confidence.
Yeah.
And this guy oozes confidence. And someone asked him why the Colts were so aggressive in pursuing him. He said, because I'm a great player. In the story. So that's what you want. We've had players come through here not quite this outspoken, but somewhat. Eric Ebron jumps to mind.
Well, this is off to a horrible comparison start right here, by the way.
I know. But they got one good year out of Ebron.
Yeah.
But, no, I was really impressed by how he presented himself. Just confidence. He walks in, the way he was dressed, he was really put together nice, had some family members there. It's when you talked about first impressions, I'm not sure how you would have made a better first impression, really. So, and then by all accounts, this guy's a very, very good upper echelon player who's still semi-young. So you just hope that now that they've gone out and sort of broken the mold on how they're approaching free agency, I don't think people should get used to this, but enjoy it while you can. But I remember us talking probably within the last month that my wish list was a starting veteran, starting corner, starting safety, and a legitimate backup quarterback. And in like 12 or 13 hours, 24 hours, they got that done. So now it's got to transform to the field, but I have no reason to believe that. Now, we'll see when we talk to Bynum next week how he is. I get the impression there's as much personality there as there is with Mooney Ward. But if these guys kind of bring you what you're invested in, then this defense and this team is much better than it was a week ago.
To Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, do you have any reason to believe that, we'll start with these defensive guys with Bynum and Ward, that these guys were not the top of the heap target for the Colts the entirety of the time, or might there have been somebody else there at all?
I think these were, if not the two, then two of the top 3, 4. These are guys they targeted. And I'll go back to one thing that Chris Ballard told us in January. He talked about maybe changing their approach to somewhat on building the roster, which meant more active in free agency or more aggressive in free agency. He said, we got to close deals. They've had players in the past that they were close to signing. I go back to Daniel Hunter last year, who ended up going to Houston. And I think they were close to signing him, and they couldn't close the deal. Well, this year they closed it. Now, did that mean adding more money or I don't know. That's normally what it does. What closes deals is the money. I mean, if somebody had offered these guys more money, would they be somewhere else? Probably, just because money is the great inducer of doing things, good and bad. So, but I think they targeted these guys. And they got him, and they got him early. It wasn't, it's not like these guys, if they had other options, which they did. But I think the aggressiveness with which Ballard and the Colts went after these guys was very impressive, and they were doggone. They were going to get these guys. And Daniel Jones might be a little different because of the Vikings' interest in retaining him, but I think that, as Ballard sits there right now, he got 3 guys that he really wanted. There might have been another one that they would like to have had too, as well. But when you sign these 2 guys for, $60 million each, and I don't know what it is, it's $55 million or whatever it is guaranteed. That shows you your commitment to these players. So hopefully, again, they can, and they've been durable. Each player, knock on wood, has been durable and productive. So hopefully these are 2 home runs this team hit, because they needed to do that in the offseason.
Mike Chappell's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So Daniel Jones, all in all, competition or just as good a backup as you could locate for the $14 million. By the way, I would agree with you. I saw that earlier this week. I don't care too much how much they spent. It's just a fact of life. Even beyond the competition aspect, at some point, there's evidence that we know that he's going to be needed in some form or fashion. So you got to pay what you got to pay on that market.
Yeah, and if you'd have paid $10 million, would you have complained about that? I don't know. And again, somebody posted that, well, you got a potential backup making 14 and which is 3 times what your starter's making if it's Richardson. Well, Richardson's on a rookie contract, so let's not get hung up on that. They did. He did get a $33 million, $34 million contract guaranteed as a rookie, so it's not like he's out on Keystone and 65 with a cardboard sign saying "Pay me." But it's. I think where we're at now is just like Daniel Jones. Couldn't you have gotten who? And if you didn't like Daniel Jones, who did you want? I mean, they weren't going to pay for Sam Darnold money at all. They weren't going to pay Justin Fields money. Who? Give me a name that you would have accepted that would have given legitimate competition, because it's doggone it's got to be open competition. It has to be, because you said it was going to be. If you didn't want him, who'd you want? Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston. He would have been fun, wouldn't he? I mean, we would have been counting touchdowns and interceptions. So I think it's a good signing. It's a good player to bring in here. Maybe this is going to be Baker Mayfield or Geno Smith or Sam Darnold, where all he needed really was a different location. And if Richardson wins the competition, which he needs to do, Anthony Richardson needs to be their starting quarterback for a lot of reasons. But if not, it's Jones. And if Richardson wins the competition, which, again, he needs to do for the betterment of the team, but his history says he's not going to start 17 games. Of course, right now you'd hoped he would start 14 or 15. But then you've got a backup quarterback who has played, who has won. If I'm not mistaken, Daniel Jones has won a playoff game more recently than the Colts have. So he has had some good moments sprinkled in with a bunch of bad, no question about it. But we talked early on that this was not a good off season to be reloading or looking for veteran backups, because if it's in the draft, there's two guys, and then who knows with the two guys. And with veteran guys, there's just not a lot out there. So I think they made the best of a semi-bad situation, and we'll see how this thing plays out.
You know where I stand on this. I don't think there's any way in hell a healthy Anthony Richardson doesn't start week one. Competition or not. There's zero way. So how much better would Daniel Jones have to be? How awful would this have to be for Richardson for him not to start in week number one?
But you're right, bad. Richardson would have to show in OTAs and in training camp that he's still the same passer. And we're seeing balls in the dirt, balls over receivers' heads. Hey, that was a great pass deep, but then you miss on this, you miss on that. I can't imagine that being the case. This is his first off season to really work on his game, and hopefully he'll make a quantum leap. We joke in the press room right now. My bar is, how about 58%? Give us 58%, which is still below norm in the NFL. But just make the plays when they're there. And if he does that, then the rest of the game should come to him. He's a dynamic runner. He throws as good a deep ball as anybody in the league, and he's got guys that can go and get it. But he's got to get the mechanics right and the completions and the efficiency up. And you're right. If he can't do that, then they were wrong from the start to draft him fourth overall in 23. So, again, I applaud them for bringing in a veteran guy with 69 starts, and who has taken a team to the playoffs. Let's not forget that. So, it's not the best situation that you find yourself in, and you're in this situation because Richardson hasn't stayed healthy and hasn't been efficient. And, oh, by the way, he got benched 2 games last year for whatever the reason was. So this sort of forced your hand. So this gives Richardson every chance to win it back and earn it. And if he doesn't, then it's going to be a mess, and we'll see how next offseason goes, because if Richardson's not the guy, I just think they've got loads of problems that's going to take 2 or 3 years to dig out from.
Well, and just because of a lot of what you said, I've been of the opinion all along that this is not a real competition. I mean, you still have Jones here, to be, the so-called life preserver, if you want to put it that way. You have Jones to be Flacco when, you decide to put him in because it was more than just Richardson not doing the right thing. It was they thought he could win a couple of games right there, which clearly, as we saw last season, he couldn't. But to me, there's no competition if there is no chance in hell that Richardson doesn't start in week 1. So that's how I look at it.
But
I don't know.
This is up to Richardson. This is all up to Richardson. And when we talked to Jones today, he said they told me I'd have a chance to come here and compete. So, how that's going to play out, I don't know. I'm of the opinion that this isn't a 50-50 start when they start throwing in April or early May, whatever. That Richardson is going to have a built-in advantage because he's been here 2 years. He knows the offense. And doggone it, you've got 2 years in draft capital and $34 million invested in him. So he has to have an edge. But from the start, they've said real competition. So there has to be, however you want to define that, real competition. Not every other play or every other series necessarily in practice, but you've got to give Daniel Jones enough to say we gave you a chance and this guy beat you out, as opposed to, well, hey, I got every fourth series or I got a chance. No, they have to make this legitimate, and how they do that, I don't know. But you can't say what they've said and then tell Jones what they told him and then have him not really get a fair shot. I think they will, and I hope that at some point, it won't be in OTAs, but at some point in camp, it becomes sort of obvious to us who've watched practice, because we see it, and we saw back in his rookie season that he didn't necessarily was that much better than Gardner Minshew. He just wasn't. But I think we'll be able to tell, and they'll do their things, watch them breakdowns of tape and all that kind of stuff. So they'll have a better grasp of what they're doing. But I think I think it is Richardson. I'm with you. This is Richardson to lose. It's kind of like if you're a challenger, you better knock the champ out. I don't know. And if that's the case, if Jones knocks him out, then it's because that Richardson is a great runner. He's a great deep ball thrower, and he just can't complete 8-yard passes over the middle or to the sidelines. I don't think that'll be the case. But, it's got to be some level of open, or the team has not been truthful with the media. And they weren't truthful to Richardson or to Jones. But I think they have been truthful to this point, that they know that they've got to have competition. Last year it was not a good enough competition at a lot of positions. And this year there's got to be some legitimate competition between the incumbent and the new guy, or what have you been doing all this time?
Neville Gallimore, is he Raekwon Davis 2.0?
Well, I hope he's better. He's certainly cheaper, but that's what that is. And then Khalil Herbert he's depth in the backfield. I still think maybe the backup running back isn't here yet. Maybe a mid-level draft pick, which this is apparently a great draft for running backs. So they've got to give JT some help. It's funny, I looked at whatever he averaged carries last year, 22-1 or 23, whatever it was. Maybe it wasn't quite that high. It was the heaviest carries per game since Edgerrin James in like 2005, when he had like almost 25 carries a game. So they're gonna ride Taylor, but they need the Zach Moss type guy who when he comes in, yes, there's a drop off, but it's not major. And they're going to ride Taylor, but they need a number 2 guy. But yeah, with the defensive tackle, he's a rotational guy. They'll still sign a couple guys, but because they need to. They need depth on the defensive or on the offensive line. They need a swing tackle. They need to remake the tight end room. Hopefully the draft will give them that with Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland. And they need a weak side linebacker to replace E.J. Speed. So there's still work to do, but having the work done that they've done really gives them flexibility to do other things, because there are other things that need to be done.
All right, overall, what are you thinking so far? Was this backing up exactly what Ballard has explained? after the season?
It's funny. Whenever after he said what he said in January, and then at the combine, you'd write something and they'd say, "Well, I'll believe it when I see it." Well, we see it. So, I don't know that they ever listened to you and me when we were, and Kevin Bone when we were preaching about the receiver room and what they need to do, but they, I had some transactions with back and forth with Ballard, and he said, "I'm stubborn. I'm not stupid," and we know he's stubborn, which makes him part of who he is. But he realized that secondary was just not good enough, and these two guys make it very good, very good. The best quote again that Ward told us is, "I'm a great player." That's what you want. Now we've had players tell us. Eric Ebron said he was really good, and then he was good for a year. Then he sucked. So that's what you want, and they're better. And I think they made a run at some level to Hendrickson with Cincy. I really do. There was discussion, and things just weren't right. Now, whether or not investing so heavily in the safety in the corner take him out of that market, I don't know. Probably it does. You can't sign everybody. The cap doesn't allow it. So, but it just shows you that they were serious about needing to do things differently. And one thing they did different, two people need to realize, is they backloaded the contracts of Ward and Bynum. That's what they haven't normally done, so it gives them more immediate flexibility to do something, whatever something is. And they redid Braden Smith. It's important they got him back. It gives, they would have been in really bad shape having to replace 3 starters on the offensive line.
Right, there's going to be one. There's going to be one of those guys, right? And then obviously Fries got priced out of the whole equation. So
but they wanted to have Fries back, but at $88 million, I mean, really?
Well, Bortolini's taking over for Kelly, so we knew that. So
right, we knew that, but I think they made a push for Fries, but there wasn't a chance in hell they were going to go to that level. I mean, he's making almost Quentin Nelson money, not quite. And you can't have 2 guards. Somebody mentioned that, well, you could have the 2 highest paid guards in the league. And I'm thinking, that's what you're striving for, really? So, hey, it's great for Fries. He's a great kid. He's young. And if he comes all the way back from that broken leg, he's going to be a fixture there for quite a while. So good for him. You're always going to overpay in free agency. Guys get paid too much, but good for the guys that get it. Odangbo. $16 million a year from the Bears. Good for him. That's probably more than what the Colts would have paid. But it's all about timing. When your time's up and when you're free agent and all this stuff. So you lose players, you get players. The losses they've had, they'll feel. But with these additions, like I've said, this is a better team. The defense has a chance to be really good. Not great, but really good. And that's what they need now. If the quarterback situation figures itself out, and it needs to be Richardson, it just does. This team's not too bad.
So Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We shall see. Always a pleasure.
Quick, you talk to people. IU gets in or not?
DeCourcy said yesterday to me in his bracketology, not without beating Oregon. Lenardi has them in right now. DeCourcy described it as it is all dependent upon the bid stealers that are out there. So we're watching, like Carolina won today, so we're watching that. Xavier lost today, so we watched that a little bit. Of Texas right now and Texas A&M in a matchup in the SEC, so we're watching that. I thought, Mike, interestingly enough, after Ohio State, I thought they solidified themselves over the weekend, and not everybody in bracketology land agreed. So they're definitely going to sweat this thing out. I don't think this type of game helped them at all, although, if you're just going by the whole analytics or the process in which they go by, somebody had mentioned the situation where, what was it, no quad 2 losses in the season. When's the last time a team didn't make it? I think it was Luke Goody that referenced that after the game, and you go back to last year in Oklahoma. missed out on the tournament and had a similar situation.
I thought if they won one game in the Big Ten tournament, they were good. This is like when you're the Colts and well, if three things happen on the final week and we win, that's where you don't want to put yourself. And if, let's say they don't get in, that nobody should be bitching and moaning. Win a couple more games, and you like to see them get in, but you understand if they don't. That's the problem.
They were atrocious today. Mike, I was there.
We were watching that.
Shoo.
They had shots. Holy smokes.
36 from the field, 25% from three, 50% from the free throw line. And a couple of those were Leal in the second half. They're down 4 on the front end of 101. So they do a hell of a job of burying themselves.
Yeah, and here you are on the bubble one way or the other. And, again, this is one where it's out of your control, but it was in your control until you just, lost games you just couldn't afford to lose, and today was one of them.
No doubt. Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Mike, we'll do it again next week.
You guys be well.
You got it. Mike Chappell right there. We'll come back with some answers. Jeff Rabjohns of Pigs on the other side. He'll talk about the bubble, where he believes they are. Today's game, coaching search, and, Ballo was talking about the fan base and the fan base reaction to losses after the game. That and more with Jeff Rabjohns. It's next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
waiting.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
His name is Mooney. Charvarius Ward, one of the new free agent signings by the Colts, the cornerback, formerly of San Francisco, was awesome on the show a little bit earlier. The podcast, 1075thefan.com. Mike Chappell was here, and Bobby Riddell, Bobby Buckets of the Boilermaker Radio Network, Purdue, USC, tonight, 9 o'clock. That is the nightcap of the second round of the Big Ten Conference Tournament, where the start of the day, it looked good at the very beginning, and then, unfortunately, to end the first half, dissolved, and then at various moments in the second half went south. IU loses 72-59 to Oregon. They now await atop the NCAA tournament bubble. And with that and more, joining us from Peegs.com, it is Jeff Rabjohns. Jeff, all too familiar of a this season tale, I thought was told earlier today. You agree?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the issues that Indiana's had this season and really over the last several seasons popped up again. They gave up a scoring run of 10-0 or more again. They've been one of the nation's worst teams as far as giving up those kind of runs. They had another scoring drought of 4 minutes or more. Again, they've been among the nation leaders in that category, which is certainly not where you want to be. Struggled to score from three, struggled to score overall. It's in 2025, you're not winning a lot of games when you score 59 points. You're just not. So, the very similar issues cropped up. And they even, it was even a game when Nate Biddle wasn't great, only scored 7 points, played some good basketball, moved the ball, blocked shots. But, he has 36 points a couple nights ago, and he only had 7. And Indiana still, ends up with another double-figure loss. So it was a game where the typical Indiana issues cropped up again, and it was an unfortunate, all too familiar result for Indiana with another double-figure loss.
Yeah, I thought that they looked better through most of the game until the tail end. They couldn't close in Eugene a couple of weeks ago, Jeff, than they looked today against Oregon.
Yeah, I actually thought they played better when they were out in Eugene. Today, they just didn't look good. They really struggled. You look at the second half, Malik Renew has 12 points in 15 minutes. Trey Galloway has 10 points in 22nd half minutes. Nobody else really scored. Umar Ballo, one of your big portal additions, goes scoreless in the second half. That's just not going to get it done.
Jeff, he was 4 for 11, and every shot he took was from like a foot away. 4 from 11 and 4 turnover. That's just brutality right there.
Not good. Not good.
Hey, I want to go here, though. So DeCourcy told me yesterday he thought they needed this win against Oregon. I think last check, Lenardi has them in. Now, we're ever evolving, Jeff, with the situation on the bubble right now. Where do you have the Hoosiers standing as far as Selection Sunday is concerned?
I think it's really dicey for them right now. I think best case scenario right now, their last 4 in. They got a little bit of a benefit. Xavier ended up losing. But you look at some other teams that are sort of near the bubble, could impact Indiana. Oklahoma won the other day. Texas won the other day. North Carolina won the other day. So it's not a static thing where, okay, if you get to 19 wins, you're automatically in. If you get to 20, you're automatically in. Other teams can keep winning too. So I think it's dicey right now. I think they need to be very, very hopeful that something goes down in positive manners for them. But I think it's really close. I think it could go either way. I think it's going to come down to a couple of things. One, Indiana only has 4 quad 1 wins. Okay, so if another team that has like 5 gets a 6 quad 1 win, there's a little separation. The other thing is, how is the committee going to value losses? Like, Indiana did have some games where they were 1-2 possession losses to some really good teams. Do they value, hey, they played really well even though it was a loss? And then the other third thing is, how are they going to look at teams that, let's say there's a team that has 7 quad 1 wins. Indiana's got 4. Well, let's say the team with 7 quad 1 wins has a quad 2 loss and a quad 3 loss. Indiana has no losses in quad 2, quad 3, quad 4. How is the committee going to value that? How much weight are they going to give to those various things? That's what I think this really could come down to for Indiana.
He's Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com of the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You've dealt with a lot of disappointment in the last handful of years. Where does this season to date rank for you?
I mean, I think most fans would consider this a very disappointing season. They start you go back to the spring, they land what most people consider the number 2 or number 3 ranked portal class in the country. Miles Rice, an all Pac-12 guard. Kenny Carlisle, an all Pac-12 guard. Umar Ballo, an all Pac-12 center. They had Luke Goody, who was obviously had some really good moments for an Illinois team that won NCAA tournament games. They were hot. Indiana opens the season, preseason, nationally ranked. And then, boom, they go down to Bahamas and just absolutely get, smacked. The double-figure loss to Louisville, double-figure loss to Gonzaga. And that Louisville game, they were down I think it was 38 points with 7:08 to play. They ended up losing by 28, but, they just got destroyed. So the wheels kind of fell off early, and then, you had other results, lose by 25 to Iowa, lose by 25 to Illinois. So I think for Indiana fans, it was a season that was incredibly frustrating and incredibly disappointing because there was on paper an influx of talent. There was on paper an opportunity, and you're sitting here, a team with one of the highest NIL payrolls in the country is headed to Selection Sunday on the bubble. I think for most IU fans, incredibly disappointing is a fair way to describe this season.
He's Jeff Rabjohns with us. Before I let you go, first of all, thanks for coming on here and chatting with us about this. And it kind of makes everybody wonder now. It looks like it could be the end. We shall see over the course of the weekend. Where is Scott Dolson and company I guess Scott Dolson in particular here in the head coaching search?
Yeah, I think he's got a good handle on who he finds really interesting. I think they're going to be, ready to move with, pretty good quickness whenever the time comes. You hear about a number of different guys: Ben McCollum, Brad Brownell, Greg McDermott, some others. The wild rumors about Brett Stevens apparently are never going to die. I think 100 years from now, people are going to still be saying, "Hey, Brett Stevens is coming." I think that everything I've been told, that's just a wild rumor, but people like rumors. But I do think Scott Dolson has had a process, is working on completing his process, and I think he's pretty comfortable with, this is just me reading the tea leaves, I think he's pretty comfortable with where things are and where things are ultimately going to go.
Jeff, in closing here, do you have a front runner? Do you have anybody you believe it to be?
I don't know about that just yet. I think there's a key group, and I don't know if I would say I have a clear front runner exactly at this point in time, but still gonna keep working on that. It's only Thursday. We still got days left, But the portal opens March 24th. I think if Indiana can have somebody in place by the time the portal opens, I think that'll be a really, really good sign. You don't have to. Obviously, Mark Pope was hired in April, and Kentucky was able to put together a very good roster. They're sitting there, whatever they're ranked right now, top 15 in the country, I think. So you don't have to have a coach in place the day the portal opens. But if you have the opportunity to do that, I think there are some benefits there for you.
So Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. IU eliminated from the Big Ten Conference Tournament in game number 1 once again. And they await what is going to be their destiny this weekend on the bubble of the NCAA tournament. Hey, Jeff, thanks for the time, man. I appreciate you. We'll track you down when we get closer to either a tournament or to a new head coach.
Thanks, my friend. You have a great week. We'll talk to you.
You too. Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com and the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Not bright and sunshiny, believing this team is going to end up getting in. Shaky at best. We'll come back with you final time. Pantera tickets also on the way, and a preview of tomorrow and a recap of what has gone down today, including an IU loss, including a Butler loss, and Purdue coming up later on tonight at 9 o'clock at the Fieldhouse versus USC. That and more coming up as we close down this Thursday edition of the show. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
He's my sweet cheese, my good time boy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Number 9, what say you, Pantera? You and James together. This is a little hardcore right here, James.
It's from their last album. Revolution is my name.
Revolution is my name. Number 9, you want to go?
Phil Anselmo, baby.
Pantera tickets for you hard rockers like James out there. All you dudes getting together in a mosh pit. Pantera. Number 9 at 239-1070. You can go on us. Enjoy that opportunity to be a part of that with James right there, too. Yeah, I mentioned, not only are we giving away tickets on this show coming up on Saturday night, Counting Crows, and I have seen the list of concert tickets we are giving away coming up, and it is very good. You're going to love it. I believe even some Willie Nelson coming up. Which, by the way, I called my mom today and I said, hey, we're going to clear the schedule, whatever day that it is. And hell, I don't even know what day it is just yet. But she's a huge fan, going back forever, of Willie Nelson. And I said, Willie Nelson show, I'm going to take you to see it. I will take you to see Willie Nelson. Trying to see where this is. Where the hell is this locally? Why can't I find it? Ruoff coming up. Ooh, that's September the 18th on a Thursday right there. So I'm thinking, what? A little bit. Ooh, that's the Outlaw Music Festival. Bob Dylan, Sheryl Crow. That thing starts at 3:45. What? On the 18th? Well, that'll be a good day right there. That will probably be a Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots Thursday, too. That sounds like one big day for my mom. But no, we have tickets to the best shows around here for weeks to come. Thank you very much. All right, quickly, Oregon over IU earlier today, 72-59. If you just heard Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com mentioned he thinks it's incredibly dicey that IU gets asked to be a part of the NCAA tournament. Again, we shall see. Mentioned Joe Lenardi, what he thought earlier this day, but there's also a ton of games that you need to be watching. Yeah, obviously Texas is on that bubble right now, 65-60 over Texas A&M as they approach. Let me make sure this is the accurate score right here. I think as they approach the 5-minute mark, I believe here. Now I can't even find it. Let me get back to the SEC. Yeah, 65-60 right now. 5-minute mark, second half, SEC tournament, second round down in Nashville. Xavier lost a little bit earlier today in the Big East. North Carolina won in the ACC. They were a bubble squad going into. So IU fans will have to kind of sit and watch. Meantime, Butler fans know that the Dogs aren't going to be a part of anything. Butler loses in their second game of the Big East tournament, and they lost in resounding fashion, 78-57 to St. John's earlier today. And, Purdue coming up later on tonight. Boilermakers and USC to close out the second round of play of the Big Ten Conference Tournament at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. If you watched any of that overtime game, that win for USC, I mean, this is a game where USC can be, we talked to Bobby Riddell a little bit earlier, that can be a little bit tricky, and here's why. Because they are athletically talented, athletically gifted, and they have been massively inconsistent this season, but it takes one game for them to have confidence and to play over their head. And remember, we talked to Matt Painter about that yesterday. He didn't think that there's an advantage of a team getting a game and a win like that under their belt, but you get a little bit of confidence, and you see where that is going. A Boilermaker team that last time we checked in with them, They struggled with defensive stops and close and ultimately lost a game to Illinois. So you got that Big Ten Conference Tournament, the night session tonight. The nightcap features USC and Purdue. By the way, the Trojans 16-16 on the season. Boilermakers 21-10, 13-7 in the Big Ten. And, right now you're just kind of looking to move forward and maybe get yourself a little better seed working. 9 o'clock tonight for that. Prior to it, Iowa, number 24, Illinois in the second round. Hawkeyes a winner over Ohio State, presumably eliminating them from any thought regarding the NCAA tournament. And 20-11 Illinois, 6:30, so a little over 30 or so minutes, and that tip time going on at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Earlier today, that was the first two in the afternoon. Wisconsin, a 70-63 winner over Northwestern. So the Wildcats finished the season 17-16 overall. Wisconsin now 24-8, and they move on to tomorrow. So we got a lot more for you, too. And, again, we'll be having a close look at the bubble, if indeed it is an interesting conversation as far as IU is concerned over the course of the weekend. That is something we shall see. If you missed the show today, you missed a lot. I mentioned Bobby Riddell, Boilermaker Radio Network, a little bit earlier. Podcast 1075thefan.com. Mike Chappell, CBS 4 and Fox 59 Colts free agency. They brought out some of the new players today and some of the re-signed players. Ashton Doolin today. I saw Danny Pinter was a part of that earlier today. Mike Chappell joined us. Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com. IU coaching surge, bubble watch, and the disappointment of a game that, again, was all too familiar for IU fans if you watched that loss to Oregon earlier this afternoon. And Mooney, one of our all-time favorites. If you miss Mooney, Charvarius Ward, the brand new cornerback of the Colts, the former 49er cornerback, he was absolutely incredible. Mooney on a podcast at 1075thefan.com. All right, back in studio, unfortunately in studio tomorrow with you. But we'll have a great one for you. We'll get you set for the rest of basketball recap of Purdue and USC coming up later on tonight. Pacers, the first of two on the road back-to-back. Milwaukee Saturday night, Philadelphia coming up tomorrow night for the Pacers. We'll preview that as well. Friday show, more stuff to give away. Thank you all for joining us on this show today. James, great job out of you. Podcast 1075thefan.com. Talk at you tomorrow at 3.